What's happening, guys? It's Saturday, June the 11th. Welcome to Wrestling Talk with Classic Chris. And on today's episode is the Wrestling Talk Top 10 WWF Tag Team Champions. Now, this video, it's only going to contain to WWF Tag Team Champions. So anything once it became WWE does not count. Number 10. Matt and Jeff, the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys are 6-time WWF Tag Team Champions. Their reign lasted a combined total of 151 days. Before they became the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff worked as jobbers putting over talent on Monday Night Raw. They were working squash matches. Their feud with Edge and Christian could be one of the best tag team feuds in the history of the company. Their tag team ladders match at No Mercy put both teams on the map in pro wrestling. You can't talk about Matt and Jeff without bringing up Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, and TLC. These teams made tag team wrestling important again in a time when tag team wrestling was losing its luster. Number 9. Money Incorporated. Ted DiBiase and Erwin R. Shyster, IRS. 3-time tag team champions. They held the title for a combined total of 411 days. Money Inc. was a match made in heaven. IRS and Ted DiBiase were a perfect pairing. They were arguably two of the best workers of the time, and their characters were a perfect fit. Both were greedy, money-hungry, who craved power. A great heel tag team, and one of my all-time favorites. Number 8. The British Bulldogs. Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid are one-time WWF Tag Team Champions, and they held the titles for a combined total of 294 days. Coming out of Stampede Wrestling, they took the WWE fans by storm with their high-intensity style. The combination of strength and speed left fans wanting more. At WrestleMania 2, they dethroned the Dream Team. To this day, the Bulldogs are looked at as one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Number 7. Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody! The New Age Outlaws are 5-time WWF Tag Team Champions and held the title for a combined total of 468 days. Road Dogg and Billy Gunn were a great fit. And at the time, before becoming the New Age Outlaws, their characters were in limbo. Road Dogg was the roadie, and Billy Gunn was Rockabilly. Hands down, they were one of the most entertaining teams the WWF has ever put together. Their dumpster match versus Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie, Terry Funk, will go down in history. Number 6. Out of Dudleyville, we got the Dudley Boys. They are 8-time WWF Tag Team Champions, and their reign lasted a total of 281 days. Hands down, the Dudleys are one of the most decorated tag teams in wrestling history, winning championships everywhere they've gone. If they weren't putting people through tables, they were beating people up. Their feud with the Hardys and Edge and Christian, the TLC matches, will always be talked about and as some of the greatest tag team matches of all time. Those three, like I said before, made tag team wrestling relevant again in an era that needed good tag teams. Number 5. Oh, what a rush. I'm talking about the Legion of Doom. You can't talk about great tag teams without bringing up the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom. Legion of Doom is 2-time WWF Tag Team Champions and held the championships for a total of 213 days. When LOD came into the WWF, it was a huge deal, hands down, because they're the most popular tag team at the time. Honk and Animal were powerhouses that could move in the ring. They're so popular that if you didn't watch NWA, you knew who the Road Warriors were. Number 4, the Hart Foundation. Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart are 2-time WWF Tag Team Champions and held the titles for a combined total of 483 days. When you talk tag team wrestling, it's hard not to mention the Hart Foundation. A perfect blend as a tag team. Bret with the speed and technical skills, Jim Neidhart with his power and in-your-face attitude. This tag team was very dangerous. Every match the Harts were in was a good match because of their dynamic hybrid offense. That's what made their matches with the British Bulldogs stand out so much. Other teams wrestled the same style, but not the Harts, not the Bulldogs. When those teams hooked up, they changed their styles during the match. They had depth to each other. That's what made their matches so good and made them stand out. Number 3, Owen Hart and the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith are one-time WWF Tag Team Champions. Their run as champions lasted a total of 246 days. Hands down, this is one of my favorite tag team pairings of all time. This team was a perfect blend of power, speed, technical wrestling. Owen and the Bulldog had a great hybrid offense, just like the Hart Foundation, just like the British Bulldogs. While they were tag team champions, they met in the finals of the European Championship Tournament and put on one hell of a match. That match led to a small rivalry between the feud and forced Bret Hart to come out on Monday Night Raw and reunite the family and form the new Hart Foundation. I feel that this tag team is highly underrated and both men should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Number 2, arguably one of the most popular tag teams in WWF history, Edge and Christian are 7-time WWF Tag Team Champions and held the championship for a combined total of 207 days. Edge and Christian could do it all, from in the ring work to doing it on the mic. Their 5-second poses were always fun to watch, a thing of pure genius. When they split up as a tag team, they had a great feud over the Intercontinental Championship, but these two will always be remembered for what they did as a tag team. The feud with the Hardys, the Dudleys, the TLC matches, what they did, revitalizing tag team wrestling. Oh, those TLC matches are forever going to be in history as some of the greatest matches of all time. These teams set the plateau on how tag team wrestling should be. Before we get to that number one tag team, we're going to name some honorable mentions. Some great tag teams that just missed out on making this list. Bruce the Barber Beefcake and Greg Valentine, the Dream Team, are one-time tag team champions, and they held the championship for a total of 226 days. Next up, we got Jacques Rougeau and Pierre, the Quebecers. They are three-time WWF Tag Team Champions, and their run lasted a total of 216 days. Now, the last honorable mentions, Rick Martel and Tito Santana, the Strike Force. They are one-time tag team champions and held the titles for a total of 152 days. Now it's that time you've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. Time for Wrestling Talk to reveal their number one WWF Tag Team Champions of all time. And that's an easy answer. Axe and Smash Demolition. They are three-time WWF Tag Team Champions and held the title for a combined total of 698 days. Their first title reign lasted a record-setting 478 days. They are the most dominant tag team of the late 80s, early 90s. Some fans saw them as WWF's answer to the Road Warriors, but fans of the WWF didn't care. Their theme song, Demolition by Rick Derringer, every wrestling fan of that era knows that song. In an era with the Hart Foundation, Strike Force, the British Bulldogs, the Brainbusters, the list can go on, but with all these great tag teams, and have Demolition set records with the longest single reign at 478 days, also with the longest combined run at 698 days, is why Axe and Smash are Wrestling Talk's number one WWF Tag Team Champions of all time. There you have it, guys. That's the Wrestling Talk's top 10 WWF World Tag Team Champions. Do you agree with the list? Leave a comment with your thoughts. Like the video, subscribe. Remember to keep watching Wrestling Talk with Classic Chris. And don't forget to check out the YouTube channel for Classic Chris, your official home for everything Wrestling Talk, plus matches I called from Crossfire and Conflict Wrestling.